Hi everyone, welcome to the lecture, and today we are starting the new part of your ancient history series. Here we are starting the most important part, which is Sangam age, and this is your lecture number 12, and here we will discuss Sangam age today. Okay, so basically guys, we have already completed 11 lectures, right? I hope you have seen all the lectures. If I'm audible and visible to you, please send me a hi or hello in the comment box. Yes, good evening, Devrat. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great. So, basically, when we come to the South Indian history, especially the ancient history of South India, the Sangam age is the most important part. Can you tell me the time duration of Sangam age? This is highly debatable. Historians are not really having a single date, but just to have a clear indication of the time period, we can say that Sangam age started from the 3rd century BC and lasted till 3rd century AD. Okay, it's very easy to remember, right? 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. That we will discuss today. Fine? Okay, great. Yes, good evening, guys. Good evening. First of all, let me just wish you a very, very happy Dhanteras to all of you. And I can see that many of the Hindi students are also there in our class. So for Hindi and bilingual classes, we are planning something. Don't worry, you'll be getting the series and all the kinds of lecture very soon. It will be available to you. Just stay tuned and I'll update that, about that course and the links on the Telegram. Fine. Right now, as this series is only for the English learners, it will be only in the English medium. We can't do anything about it because you just need to understand that we have started this series already and it was planned as per the English students, liking and as per that kind of system. That's why we can't change it in between right now. But for the combinations or English or Hindi bilingual, for that we have planned a different set of classes so that it will be justified, because if I'll mix both the languages, it will not be very beneficial for many of the students. Mostly you can only follow one medium, either English or Hindi, right? So if we just follow English, at least it will be ensured that okay, at least one language is clearly understood and is easily conveyed by me also to you. Okay, now let's start the topic, guys. First of all, this is the lecture number 12, and what we will get in the end of the lecture, you will understand the entire Sangam literature. The most important topics related to the PYQs, if I see, they are coming with the name of authors, some important books and the name of authors. So that we need to cover today. Then other sources are there for the Sangam period. We need to cover that also. The political history of Sangam age, the polity, society, economy, art, okay, then the religion, the position of women. So all these points are important and they are asked in your mains exam also. So we will cover the economic condition also. Everything about Sangam age will be done. And few of the invasions also started happening in India during this period only, but it was happening in the northern side. So some North Indian invasions also I'll try to discuss with you today. So we need to discuss Cheras, Cholas and Pandyas. Can you see this particular map? We have Cholas here. Cholas had Urayur with them as their capital. Then Pandyas had Madurai. In Madurai only the Sangams used to happen, because Pandyas used to sponsor it. Under their patronage, it used to be there. Then Cheras. Cheras had Muchiri, their capital. So you see a very unique part about all these kingdoms, that they had a capital and they also had a port town, port capital, because you can see that they had a very great coastline. So with this large coastline, they wanted to utilize it, and so they decided to have a port city also, a port capital also. Okay, so they will have two important cities. One is the capital city and one is the port city. Every time in each and every kingdom you will see this in the South India. Clear? And about the detailed PDF of the lecture, I'll just tell you, you will be getting the PDFs. We have already shared it with the team, and they'll be uploading it in the Google Drive link, which you will get. So you already have that link, but the lectures, the new PDFs are not updated. That will be updated very soon. Fine. Now let's come back to the topic. I'll answer all your questions, queries and grievances. I can see that you have so much to discuss and talk to me. We'll be coming to that very soon. Fine. So first of all, when we talk about the Sangam literature, we have few important authors and books which you need to remember for prelims. If possible, try to write it down in your notebook or make a flow chart. Okay, so when we talk about the important literatures, we have Muchangam, very important. Okay, so what is Muchangam? Basically, Muchangam is like Sangam only, and here in the Sangams, what they used to do, they had a meeting of all the Tamil poets, important poets of that time, and literaturers. They used to come, and they used to be there in the ancient Tamil Nadu. Okay, so in Muchangam area they used to meet and they used to write. So when they were writing, when they decided to have this meeting, first of all, two things will influence their mind. Okay, first is that who is giving the patronage, who is giving the sponsorship for this meeting. So it was done in Madurai and by Pandyas. So obviously you'll find a lot of discussion about the Pandyan king. And second is the time period and the conditions of that particular time period, the way polity used to function, the way society used to function. So there are few common things which you will be finding in the Sangam age. First of all these kingdoms, Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas, they had fight among themselves to expand their territory. So because of this disputed boundary lines, they always used to fight. So first problem is the fighting. Second is that you will see a kind of a culture where equality, the position of women is very high, in contrast with the Vedic culture which was followed in the North India. Okay. Also you will see that they will have a different style of worshipping, different forms of gods. Okay, like Murugan god. They had different types of idol worship also. They used to do the hero stone worship also. They divided the parts of land and they decided that how the society should follow a particular type of occupation. So these things will make the Sangam age very different from the other times. These Sangams, these meetings, they flourished under the royal patronage of Pandyas. This you need to remember for prelims. Okay. Now, the first Sangam, it was held in the Madurai. But we have no evidence, surviving evidence of that Sangam, like what they wrote or if any composition was there. So it is said that it was attended by the gods and many legendary sages. Okay, many legendary sages, big gurus, big, people. But there is no literary work of this Sangam age available for us today. Then the second Sangam happened. It was in the Kapadapuram. Remember the name? Kapadapuram. But again, nothing got survived. We only found Tolkappiyam. Tolkappiyam remained from this particular second Sangam, and we can read it where we will find some political history. Then we have the third Sangam. It again happened in the Madurai. It was founded by Mudathi Rumaran, a very important ruler. Mudathi Rumaran. I'll tell you more about Mudathi Rumaran. And it was attended by large number of poets again, Tamil poets basically. And they wrote about many of the points related to the society and economy and some new forms of worships and sects which got started at that time. So these Tamil literary works, they are very useful for us. Why? Because sometimes you don't find the archaeological evidences, but you can see the literary records. And that's why these Tamil literary works are the sources for us to reconstruct the history of Sangam age, especially the South India. So for the exam, what are the most important Sangam literatures for you, which you need to remember? Number one is that I told you second Sangam gave us Tolkappiyam, right? So Tolkappiyam is very important. Apart from Tolkappiyam, you have Etti Togai and Pattu Pattu. Okay, these two are again very important. I'll tell you about the meaning of these words, because we have so many South Indian words today. We need to understand that what kind of literary record it was. Okay, then we have Pathini Kekanat, and we have two epics also. Silpadikaram, very important, and Mani Meglai. Silpadikaram and Mani Meglai are two epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata. Clear? Now, Tolkappiyam is the earliest of all the Tamil literature which we have today, and it was authored by Tolkappiyar. Tolkappiyar was the writer. Okay, and it is a work on Tamil grammar. So they can ask you in prelims that which is the work on Tamil grammar, or Tolkappiyar wrote Tolkappiyam, and it is related to what? So you need to tell that this is about Tamil grammar, but it provided us the information on polity as well. So the political aspects of the society, the socio-economic conditions of that time in the Sangam period is also defined in Tolkappiyam. So as you know that in prelims there is a new trend that one or two of the statements are correct, three of these statements are correct. So they can mention that it was a Tamil grammar, it also had information of polity, it also had socio-economic conditions, right? So these three will be there in your prelims question, it may come. So there you can choose these three. Then about Ittu Togai or Ittu Togai, Ittu Togai means 8. So they have 8 anthologies in which 8 works are there. You don't need to remember all these 8 works. Okay, the names are very difficult to understand and remember, and just be assured that it will never be asked in the exam. But just to understand, just for the sake of reading, let's read it just for once. Okay, now Itti Togai had 8 different kind of literatures. It had Ayangarunuru, Narinai, Aganunuru, and Purananuru, Kuran Togai, Kali Togai, Paripadal, and Padiru Pattu. All these have different sense of meanings for the societies, right? Then we have Pattu Pattu also. Pattu means 10. So they had 10 idols. And these 10 idols, they consist of 10 works. Again, we have 10 names. They are not very important for the exam. Just for the sake of your understanding, I have given it in your study material, so that if you want, you can read it. Otherwise, it's not important. Clear? So just remember Tolkappiyam, okay, written by Tolkappiyar, the Etti Togai, and the Pattu Pattu. These 3 names you need to remember for exam, especially prelims. Then let's come to the inscriptions and the details like archaeological evidences related to the Sangam age. We have the Hathi Gumfa inscription, which is of Kharvela of Kalinga. Kharvela ruler, he mentions that how Tamil kingdoms were there. So they ensured that they are writing something about the Sangam age and Sangam kingdoms. So it becomes a good archaeological evidence for us. If we talk about the excavations, we had some excavations in important sites like Arika Medu is a place, Pumpuhar is a place, Podu Mannal, and some other places. They have some evidences in which it is very clear that some commercial activities were there, overseas commercial activities of the Tamils, and possibly we had trade with the Europeans. Okay, so Indian goods were already very popular in the world. Now, as I told you that the period is around 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD, but we are not really clear about it. So the chronology of the Sangam literature is very disputed, but still we have some sources like Silpadikaram. And as I told you about the Sri Lankan literatures, Deepavamsa and Mahavamsa, If you remember, when we were discussing the Buddhism, there we discussed the Deepavamsa and Mahavamsa. When we discussed the Ashoka, there also these Sri Lankan chronicles, Deepavamsa and Mahavamsa came, right? So we discussed it. So if you remember, in Deepavamsa and Mahavamsa also, they tell us about the fact that there was a Sangam period and there used to be a ruler, Gajabhagu II. Okay, so Gajabhagu II was the ruler of Sri Lanka, and at that time he was helped by Cheran Sengtuvan. Cheran Sengtuvan was a Chera king. Okay, he was a Chera dynasty ruler, and Chera dynasty ruler Cheru Sengtuvan helped the Sri Lankan ruler at that time to have some kind of defense in the Sri Lanka. So it is said that with this help of Chera dynasty, Cheran Sengtuvan, at that time Sri Lankan king Gajabhagu II managed to survive his kingdom. Okay, so these kind of diplomatic relations are also highlighted. Clear? On the basis of the literary and archaeological records, numismatic evidences, the coins of that time, most probable date which comes for the Sangam literature is 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. Clear? I already told you this. Now, if we talk about their political history, I told you that there were Cheras, Cholas and Pandyas, and they used to fight. So the Tamil country at that time had 3 important dynasties. Other dynasties were also there. We will talk about other South Indian rulers and empires, but in this period, in the Sangam period, Cheras, Cholas, Pandyas are the most important. Okay, so if we talk about their important cities, we had Urayur here. Let me just mark it with the red color for you. Urayur. Madurai is here. And this is Koli Mallai. This is again very, very important. Tondai Nad is again very, very important. Then we had the Konkanam area here, and we had Tondi here. Tondi is very important. Muchiri or Vanchi is important. It was the capital of Cheras. And they had the boundaries in which they always used to fight among themselves. Okay, so disputed boundary line was there. So let's start from the Cheras. Okay, first Cheras. Can you see them in the map here? Let's see. Cheras. Okay, ruling in this particular site. So Cheras, they ruled over the parts of modern Kerala, and their capital was Vanchi or Vajji. They had some important seaports known as Tondi and Musiri. Okay, as I told you that you need to remember the capital city and the seaports of each and every kingdom. Very important. So we have some inscriptions, like there is an inscription of Pugalur. The Pugalur inscription of the 1st century AD tells us that there were 3 generations of important Chera rulers. The way they started their rule and how they started their expansion at that time, and they also used to help the Sri Lankan governments. Okay, so Sri Lanka and Cheras had good relations. So the Padiru Pattu, it gives us some information. It is a composition. It provides the information about the Chera king. Okay, so the Pugalur inscription and Padiru Pattu inscription. So they tell us about the famous rulers like Peram Soru Udhayan Chera Lathan. Chera Lathan is a title which all the Chera kings used to take. Okay, most of them. So Peram Soru Udhayan Chera Lathan, Imaya Varman Nedam Chera Lathan, and Cheran Sengtuvan, who was the friend of Sri Lankan king. Okay, so Cheran Sengtuvan is the most important for us, because he belonged to the 2nd century AD. And I told you about a very important literary work, Silpadikaram. Silpadikaram is an epic. I told you about 2 epics. Can you tell me the names? Silpadikaram and second was? Who will tell me, who will give me the right answer? Silpadikaram and Manimekalai. Clear? Manimekalai. Can you write the spelling correctly in the comments? Veerakumar and other students who are not getting the PDFs and study materials, or if you have any issue, just come to the Telegram group. To join Telegram, you just need to fill the form which is there in the description box of this video. Yes. Capital cities and seaports of each important kingdom is, yes, important. Yes, we will discuss them all. And as I told you, this is the Chera. And for Cheras, Tondi and Musiri are the important seaports. Okay. And one more important thing is that I told you the two names of epics. Remember them, Silpadikaram and Mani Mekalai. So, Silpadikaram was written by his younger brother. Whose younger brother? Cheran Sengotuvan brother. His name is Ilango Adigal. So, Ilango Adigal is a very, very important writer. Okay. So, when you talk about Kalidas, Shakespeare and other important writers, remember the name Ilango Adigal because he was the most important writer of the Sangam age. And he wrote the epic of Silpadikaram. That's why he is very, very famous. This name will be repeated many times in your ancient history. Okay, Ilango Adigal. So, Ilango Adigal was the author of Silpadikaram and he is the younger brother of Cheran Sengotuvan also. Sengotuvan introduced a Patni cult. Patni cult is a culture where worship of wife is considered very good. Okay, or the Devi worship you can say. So, in this cult, in this new sect, in this new culture, there is a story and they relate it with the life of a wife, and it is shown that how an ideal wife should be, and if you have a woman like this, you should always worship that kind of women. So it shows how in a very poor condition of husband, the wife always used to take care of him, and she was in the end of the story, it is shown that how she had a great trust and she used to fight with everyone just for her husband, and the way the loyalty which she maintained, the purity which she maintained was very, very high. So that's why this new culture was introduced by Sengotuvan. So Patni cult, which is the worship of Kannagi. Kannagi was the wife of, wife. Basically, she is considered as the ideal wife. So that image of ideal wife is considered, and in Tamil Nadu, she is worshipped even today. Okay, so you can see this is like very first time when we see something like this in India, where the wife is being worshipped, because the concept of Pati Parmeshwar is so famous, and it was very famous in North India. Even today it is so common, right? Pati Parmeshwar, like Pati is Parmeshwar. But here the Patni was like Parmeshwar and she was considered a god. So in Tamil Nadu, the picture of ideal wife started with the Patni cult was introduced by Cheran Sengotuvan. Clear? Now, when we talk about Cholas, Cholas are again very important for us. I told you that when you read about Cholas, don't get confused because you will get to see two Cholas. There are two Cholas in your history. So, ancient Cholas from the Sangam age are the ancient Cholas. Okay, they had their empire in this particular part. But we will see imperial Cholas also. They will come in 9th century AD. Okay, during the time of your medieval Indian history or the transition of medieval India. There you will see that the imperial Cholas will come. They will follow a different level of trade route and they will try to get the areas of Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, Malaya, and they will expand their empire. So they will be known as imperial Cholas. So this map is about the imperial Cholas. Just wanted to show you this map here today to have a clarity in this concept of Cholas, because you will see that Cholas are coming again and again. So two Cholas are there, ancient Cholas and imperial Cholas. Imperial Cholas will be there in 9th century AD, which we will not discuss today. Right now you just want to, if you want to understand, look at this map and you will understand that why they were imperial, because they were expanding. They went beyond the Bay of Bengal and they expanded their borders in other countries. So the imperial Cholas will be discussed when we will come to 9th century AD. But right now we are at 3rd century AD, from 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. Clear? So right now what we are discussing, they are Cholas, ancient Cholas. okay, of Sangam age. So basically these Cholas, they were having the area which extended from modern Tiruchi district to the southern Andhra Pradesh, and they had their capital which was first located at Urayur, which we have seen in the map, but then later it was shifted to Puhar, which was their important port town, because Puhar had a great level of export at that time. So for commercial activities it became important, so they shifted their capital to Puhar. So let's see the Urayur and Puhar, both the areas in the map. This is Urayur here, and Puhar is somewhere here in the coastal area, as I told you in the starting also. This is Urayur. Puhar is somewhere here in the coastal area. Okay, so Puhar was the important port. So Cholas, basically, they had a very famous king. Like Cheran Sengu Tuvan was the Chera king, famous Chera king, and his brother Ilangu Adigal was also very famous. But when you come to Cholas, they had Karikala. So Karikala was their famous king. Remember the name Karikala. Okay, and Patani Pallai is an important literary record. Okay, in this literature, they portray the early life and the military conquest of King Karikala. The way King Karikala expanded his empire, the way he used to maintain his army, how he started his journey, how he became the ruler. All these points are written in Patani Pallai. Remember the name? Patani Pallai. So Patina Pallai had the entire portrait of Karikala. Many Sangam poems, they also mention about a battle. This battle is very important. This is known as the Battle of Veni. So in the Battle of Veni, Karikala faced many of his enemies coming together with a combined army. But in this battle which was there with Karikala, so he defeated the confederacy in which Cheras, Pandyas and 11 minor chiefmen came together to defeat Karikala, and all of them were defeated by Karikala alone. So in this battle, when he defeated everyone, the Sangam poems and Sangam literary records, they used to write about it. Battle of Veni, Battle of Veni, everywhere it is written. So that's why the Battle of Veni is important for us. Clear? See, I have already taken only the important points for you. I am not explaining the unnecessary details, unnecessary stories related to Sangam age, because that will be very lengthy and very boring. But just try to ensure that at least whatever is written in the slide right now, whatever I am explaining to you, is at least there in your mind. This is minimum you need to remember. Okay, at least this is something which you cannot forget. Okay, if you will try to just read it or skim it, then it will be very problematic for you in the ancient history, because in the exams they are now asking many questions from Sangam age. It is now becoming the most important and favorite topic of UPSC. Now we have one more important battle, which is Vahai Parandalai. So Battle of Veni is important, and one more battle, Battle of Vahai Parandalai, is important. It was also important battle which was fought by Karikala. Okay. Then trade and commerce was also very good. It flourished during the reign of Karikala. Karikala was their important king. And Karikala added the prosperity to the people by reclamation of the forest lands, means he started afforestation. And he also took a lot of area under cultivation. So what he did, he introduced new irrigational activities and systems. He dug many new canals so that people will have better irrigational methods with him. So he built the Kallani dam across the river Kaveri. It's very famous, and this is important for prelims. Write it down in your notebook if you are writing the running notes. Kallanai across the river Kaveri was built by Karikala. He was a Chola ruler, and it was a great construction of that time. It survived for many years, and he constructed many other irrigational tanks. So he was he was very much cleverly executing the plan for the people in the agricultural field. So I told you this, that because of these activities in South India, the farmers became the owners of their lands, and there was no zamindari system, or there was no middleman between the farmer and the tax collector. And this was also ensured during the time of Britishers when they came to India. So they will be not introducing any zamindari system in South India. That's why they had to introduce the Rayatwari system, because Rayats means farmers became the owner of their own land. Next is Pandyas. Pandyas also had their important kingdom, and they ruled over the part of present day southern Tamil Nadu. Their capital was in Madurai, where two Sangams happened, and their earliest king was Nediyan. Then we have Palai Gasalai, Mudukudumi, Purusuvaludi, and Mudathi Rumaran. So most important name which you need to remember here about all the important kings, Pandya kings, Mudathi Rumaran is very important. Okay, because he will patronize the second Sangam, and he will also patronize the Tol Kapir, who will write Tol Kapiyam. So that's why he is important for us. Clear? Yes, only important things I have kept in the PDF, because see, unnecessary and extra details are there already in your books, in the standard books of course. In NCERT they have not given anything, means they just wrote about Sangam age and few of the rulers, but that's not enough for exam. That's why I have taken these points from the book, which is Tamil Nadu history book. Okay, because in Tamil Nadu board I found better understanding about Sangam age, so I took it from there, so that we don't break the chronology in our class. It is a topic wise series, so I want to cover all the topics in a very good way, so that you don't feel incomplete in any sense. You should feel that once you cover this particular series, you will be confident enough about your NCERTs that okay, now I have my basics done, I can start any standard book and I can solve any MCQ from the NCERT. So this confidence should come to you. One more important detail which I wanted to give you, that now we are in the end of the ancient history. Okay, so this is a very good thing, and congratulations to all of you that you are, you have come so far. Only two more topics are remaining in the ancient history, which is about Guptas and later Guptas. Then Harshvardhan is there. After Harshvardhan, we will start the medieval Indian history. Okay, so medieval Indian history will be there in the next week, and very soon the medieval Indian history will be starting with the early part of Rajputs and then the clash, and that is the most interesting part of the entire history. I would say that if you will read the entire history from ancient to modern, this part of medieval Indian history will be the best and the most interesting for you, because you will see a great level of clash, so many battles and wars and diplomacy of Rajputs, then Islamic rulers, and the way they started their expansion. So that that will be very, very beautiful story which is coming next week to you. So just stay tuned for that. There were two Neduchelians rulers basically. So first Neduchelian was known as Aryapadai Kantha Neduchelian. He was the one who won victories over the Aryan forces, and he was working against the Aryan expansion in South India. So that's why he is famous. Then one more ruler is there whose name is again Neduchelian. So just remember that two Neduchelians are there. So one who won the victories over the Aryan forces was also responsible for the execution of Kovalan, for which Kannagi burnt Madurai. So I told you about the story of husband and wife. If you remember, there was a couple basically, and Kovalan was the husband of Kannagi. Okay, so Kovalan and Kannagi, they used to live basically in Tamil Nadu area, and what happened that due to some reasons, the financial conditions of Kovalan, the husband, worsened, and with time he lost everything. There is a very long story, but in short I'll just tell you so that you understand the topic. Okay, just try to understand, don't get into the romance of these romantic couples, because there are many romantic couples in South Indian history. You will find a couple in Silpadikaram also. So stories related to love and affection is always there. Even if you will watch the South Indian movies, you will see that in a South Indian movie they always try to keep the romance in between. Even if it is an action movie, they will include a kind of a romantic couple and their small story in between, so to make it more interesting. Okay, so it's a very common thing which is followed since the ancient times in the South Indian literatures. So basically the story in short is that Kovalan was the husband, he lost everything, he became very poor, and Kannagi, she was the wife, and she always used to take care of everything with Kovalan. So when Kovalan became too poor to survive, ultimately what they decided that that in a family, Indian families generally they sell off their assets to survive in a very hard time. So they first start with their utensils. Okay, so if you have any poverty like issue, bad financial conditions, so the first thing the Indian family will choose to sell is they will sell off their utensils, because at that time people had very heavy utensils. Nowadays we use steel and aluminium in our kitchens, they are not very worthy, right? They, if you will try to sell it off in the market, you might not get anything out of it. If you know that there are many bartan walis and bartan walas in which they give you the utensil in exchange of the clothes. So if you will give too many clothes, you will get just one pan or something like that. I hope you are getting and relating with me, because if you have seen it around your society, you must have found these kind of sellers who do this barter system. So basically the idea to make you understand is that utensils which we have today in the kitchen is not that expensive, they are not very heavy, they don't have that kind of pure metal in them. But in the ancient times and during the medieval times also, people had very heavy utensils with them. So first what they used to decide is that in any harsh situations, they used to sell off their utensils to survive. In case the utensils will not work, if the time will not improve for them, if the financial conditions will worsen, then ultimately they will decide to sell off the jewelries. Mostly jewelries used to be there with the wife, so wife decided to sell off the jewelries. So here Kannagi, when she saw the poverty of her husband Kovalan, she gave one of her anklet pile. So if you have seen that in ankles, so if these are the legs, in the lower part pile pehante hain, anklets. So anklets were there, so she also used to wear the anklets. So she gave one of her anklet from one leg to the husband, not both. Okay, so from the pair of two anklets, दो पायल में से एक पायल husband को दे दिया. So she gave one to the husband and asked her to sell it off in the market, so that they get some cash and they could survive for some more days, few more days. Now what happened that on the same day, Queen of Madurai, basically, she also lost her anklet. So people of soldiers of that queen, they were searching for that anklet in the market, that in Chor Bazaar or in any of the market, if somebody will come to sell that anklet, they will find and catch. So there Kovalan went to the same market where soldiers were already there in the search of the anklet of the queen. And they catched Kovalan by mistake, because they thought that he is selling the anklet on the same day and maybe it is the queen's anklet. So they just got confused and by mistake they captured Kovalan, and he got the punishment. He was he got the death punishment. If I don't remember the entire literature, because in our Delhi University they teach all the literatures like this, so I just read it 7 years back. Right now I don't remember the entire story, but yes, he died due to this. So he was punished and he was hanged. When he was hanged, because of that, Kannagi, when she came back, she showed her second anklet, जो दूसरी पायल उसके पैर में already थी, she showed it to the queen that you have done a great mistake, and she became so angry that she burnt the entire Madurai. And from that day, she the Patini cult got started, the worship of wife got started, which was introduced by Cheran Senguttuvan. Okay, so this is the story of Kannagi. So Kannagi is like a god, she is not god, goddess. Okay, so Devi Kannagi. Devi Kannagi worship is very popular. So that's why Nedu Chelian is important, because he was responsible for the execution of Kovalan at that time, because of which Kannagi burned the entire Madurai in her anger, and she was supporting her husband. So ultimately she just wanted the justice. So she started crying for the justice from, she asked justice from the nature and everything. Okay, then the other is Talai Langanatu Chera Varna, and he was the one who won the battles of Talai Langanam, Nedu Chelian. So Tanai Langanam Nedu Chelian is again a very important term here, which is considered very important as a place for the battle. So this Nedu Chelian is important for us because he got a victory in a great battle. So after the victory of this battle in Talai Langanam, the battle of Talai Langanam, the second Nedu Chelian, he wore a title. Okay, he wore a title, and Mangudi Maruthanar gained a very important area and the territory of this particular part over the entire Tamil Nadu, and that's why it became very, very important. Okay. So Navatararu was the title, and basically this is a story of these two Nedu Chelians, two important Nedu Chelian rulers. So don't get confused in the name, because two Nedu Chelians are there. So one is the Nedu Chelian who got the victory over Aryans and who also was responsible for the execution of Kovalan, for which Kannagi, burnt Madurai. Second Nedu Chelian was the winner of the battle of Talai Langanam. Okay, got it? I hope this is clear. Fine. So now let's come back to the important topic here. I just wanted to show you Madurai again. Look at this particular map. Okay, so one important geographical detail is here. Palghat Pass is here. Just try to remember Palghat Pass. Okay. Now, Mudari Karanji, Mudari Kanji, basically, it is again a literary record. It was written by Mangudi Murathanar, and this describes the socio-economic condition of Pandya country, which was very, very good. Okay. Not just Pandya country. In the entire Sangam age, the economy was going fine. And in the entire ancient India, basically, economy was fine. Okay, this is a common thing which you should remember, that economy was working well, doing good in every area, in all the kingdoms. Okay, in the ancient history. We may have some, exceptions, but exceptions can be always there. Generally, it was fine in the ancient times. So the last famous Pandyan king was Uggira Peru Valudhi. And why the Pandyan Empire declined? Due to the invasion of Kalabhras. Kalabhras were the tribals. They started their revolt, Kalabhra revolt, and they killed all the important rulers, and ultimately they established their rule in the part of Pandyan kingdom. So ultimately, due to this, the decline happened. Clear? So these were the important kingdoms: Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas. Now let's talk about some minor chiefmen who played a very significant role. As I told you that in the battle of Veni also, when Karikala was fighting with the other, combinations of rulers, he had to fight with some minor chiefmen also at that time. So these chiefmen were local rulers. So in the Sangam period, among them Pari, Kari, Ori, Nalli, Pagan, Ai, Adiyam, they were the popular rulers of the local areas, and for their philanthropy, for their patronage of Tamil poets, they are still remembered. Therefore, they were known as Kadai Yelu Vallalagal, means important small rulers. So Kadai Yelu Vallalagal, these rulers were there. They were subordinate to the Cholas, Cheras and Pandya rulers, but they were locally very popular and powerful. They were powerful and popular in their respective regions. Okay, so they were local rulers. So in short, remember, local rulers, important local rulers are Kadai Yelu Valalagal. So they were known as Kadai Yelu Valalagal. Okay, so what kind of important achievements we had? We had some achievements of Pari, Kari, Ori, Nalli, Pagan, Ai, Adiyaman. These were important minor achievements of Sangam period. Not very important for exam. Okay, don't worry. Not very, very important, but we just want to read everything, as we can't leave any point. Okay, that's why for just one time watch, we are trying to cover everything. Sangam polity. Now this is important because they may ask you in your mains also about the Sangam polity. So the form of government was hereditary monarchy. Very good system in which they decided to have a decentralization of administration. The king had also taken the advice of his minister. So the council of ministers were there, court poet, and the imperial court or avai was there. So imperial court is avai. Okay, the big sabha where everyone used to sit. Okay, and the avai means the court was attended by a number of chiefs and officials. Apart from this, we had many court poets, court artists also. Okay, so some important titles were there assumed by the kings. Like Cheras, they always had the title of Vana Varamban. I hope you know about the titles. Titles are like the kind of a word which you include and attach with your name. Like there are, so if you use social medias, you must have seen that in social media few girls are there, they attach the title angel in their name, angel Pooja, angel Neha, angel Priya, and boys they are like rockstar Rahul, you know. So these kind of titles are very popular nowadays. If you know other titles, let me know in the comment box. So yes, Cheras also, they were also, you know, using the titles like Vanavaramban, Vanavan, Kuttuvan, Irumporai, Villavar. Okay, Cholas had titles like Senni, Valavan, Killi. Pandyas had titles like Thenavar, Minavar. Clear? Next is the royal emblem of Sangam dynasty. Like today we have a national emblem. Okay, so at that time also these kingdoms had their royal emblem. Like Kaap was for Pandyas. It is like a fish. Okay, tiger for Cholas, bow for Cheras, Tir Dhanush. So Dhanush Cheras ka tha. Cholas had tiger and Kaap is a kind of a fish. So fish was for Pandyas. Yeah. So yes, they had these three emblems. You can see Dhanush, tiger, carp. Okay. I hope there is no doubt. Decentralization was always there in the ancient India. If we talk about how it started, when it got started, it was already there. Since the ancient times, with all the kingdoms, they followed decentralization. But for just one exception, if we talk about the Chalukyan Empire, Chalukyas, they will come later. So Chalukyas, they always followed a centralized system. Okay, they had a very strict centralized system, which is in contrast of the other South Indian kingdoms. But that is just one exception. Generally, everybody followed decentralization. Clear? Fine. Now, let's come to the next important part. The king was assisted by a large body of officials and they were divided into 5 councils. Ministers known as Amaichar, priest Anthanar, military commander Senapati, envoys Thuthar, spies Orar. So they may ask you this in exam prelims by writing these names. So you might not get the translation in English, as I told yesterday also, that you need to remember the name, that yes, ministers were known as Amaichar. So what they can do, they can ask you in the exam that what do you mean by Amaichar. So don't expect that they will give you the translation in English. No. So you should remember ministers means Amaichar, priests means Anthanar, military commanders Senapati, envoys were Thuthar and spies were Orar. Fine. The military administration was efficiently organized and each ruler had a very good regular army in their respective Kodi Maram, means tutelary tree, which is their own area. So in their area, in their Kodi Maram, they had a regular army and the chief source of the state income was land revenue. I told you this already, that land revenue is always the chief source for the state's economy. Even today it is, right? For the government, most of the taxes, they come from the land. Clear? So land revenue was important. And apart from the land revenue, custom duty was also imposed. Custom duty was imposed on foreign trade And the Patni Pallai, it refers to the custom official. I hope you remember Patni Pallai is a literature. It is a Sangam work. So in this Sangam work, they talk about the custom officials employed at the seaport of Puhar who used to collect taxes, fines, impose duties. So yes, these kind of duties were imposed and a lot of import export used to happen. And we know that custom officers are like the richest officers of the world. I hope you know why. So Puhar is very important seaport of the Sangam period, and here so much of exchange and trade and things used to happen. So many of the officials were employed. Booty was also captured in the wars. So I told you that they always had fights and clashes among themselves. So they used to capture things. They used to get a lot of money, gold. So it was also a major source of income for the royal treasury. जो राजकोष है उसमें रख लिया जाता था whatever they used to get. Then roads and highways were very well maintained, so they had a great sense of infrastructure at that time. And this is something which we are lacking today. We have so many civil engineers, but they make the road first, and then they get this kind of intuitions in mind that okay, we made the roads, but right now we need to start digging it again because some internal pipes needs to be laid down. Then they break the entire road again, and then after dismantling they will put the pipe, they will remake the road, and then they will break it again for some other purposes. It happens again and again in India. I have seen in so many major cities, making roads, breaking it again, building it again, making, remaking is going since forever and ever. But they are not able to decide that where these roads will lead and what will they do with it. But at that time it was very nice. Fortunately, they had a good idea and sense of town planning. Roads and highways were good and very well maintained. They were guarded at night and day. Okay, prevented robbery and smuggling. So just to understand the opposite of it, you can visit the NH11 anytime, and then you would be able to see how the situation is there around the area of Gurugram, Haryana, where so much of safety issues are there, big concerns today. So at that time, these are the best points of the rulers. When you are a king, you just don't need to rule and have wars. You also need to ensure the security of the masses. Okay, so this is the first point of the government which they need to consider. This is the first thing which you need to give to your people. Then only other things will come, right? Safety is the best important thing which you can ensure. Then Sangam society, there was a five-fold division of lands, and it is written by Tolkappiyam. Okay, in Tolkappiyam it is written. Tolkappiyam is the book. So there they have said that they divided the lands, and as per the division of land, society used to live, and society followed a certain kind of occupation accordingly. Like Kurinji was the hilly land in the hilly tracts. So here people were living in the hilly area, so of course they could not do the agriculture. So their chief occupation became hunting and gathering, honey collection. And they used to worship Murugan. So Murugan became their chief deity, and hunting, honey collection and other collecting activities became their occupation. So all the people living in the hilly areas used to follow this rule. Then Mullai means the pastoral land. Here the land had good pastures. They had chief deity Mayan, Vishnu, and chief occupation was cattle rearing and dealing with the dairy products, milk products. So they used to have this animal husbandry. Then we had Marudam. Marudam is the agricultural land. It was the best part of the land. They had the chief deity Indra. Indra is also considered the most powerful god, right? So their chief occupation was agriculture. Okay, and they used to survive by doing this occupation only. Then came the coastal land. In the coastal land, they used to call it Nedal. Their chief deity was Varunan. Okay, and the chief occupation was fishing and salt manufacturing and other things related to the coastal areas. So they had their own occupations. Palai was the desert area. Their chief deity was Koravai, and their occupation was robbery, of course, because they had nothing. So they used to commit these kind of robbery activities. So this is written in Tolkappiyam. Tolkappiyam is a Sangam literature. It also gives us the detail of 4 important castes. Okay, like the Chaturvarna system was there in North India. Here also caste system was there. So 4 castes were there: Arasar, Anthanar, Vanigar, Velalals. Okay, so Arasar were the ruling class like Rajputs, Kshatriya. Then Anthanars they played significant role in the Sangam polity and religion. So they are like mixtures of Brahmins and Kshatriyas. Then Vanigars, they were doing the activities like Vaishyas, trade and commerce. Velals were like Shudras who were agriculturalists and artists, and they used to do some small mediocre jobs. Other tribal groups were also there. Important tribal groups like Parathavar, Panar, Einar, Kadambar, Maravar, Puliyar, they were also found in the Sangam society. Okay, so these names of tribal groups are important for prelims. Remember them and write it down in your notebook. Ancient primitive tribes like Thodas, Irulas, Nagas, Vedars also lived in the Sangam period. So these primitive types following the primitive agriculture is also very, very important. Now, when we talk about their religion, in the Sangam age, their primary deity was Murugan. Okay, God Murugan, Murugan Bhagwan. So, Sayan or Murugan was their most important god, who hailed as the Tamil god. Sangam literature mentions the worship of Murugan, the festivals of Murugan relating to the god Murugan, and there are many songs also of Murugan. So he was honored with 6 abodes. He had 6 temples known as Arupadai Vidu. So abodes means the temples, 6 important temples and areas of worship. Other gods were also there. They were worshipped in different areas in Sangam period like Mayan, Vishnu Bhagwan, Vendan, Indra Bhagwan, Varunan and the Koravai. Okay. So the hero stone is also very important because at that time, big legendary people, sages, they had their, a kind of a idol or a stone which was worshipped on their name. So the hero stone worship or Nadukal worship was also very, very famous. In many of the temples of South India, you will see that these stones are kept in which they worship the stones. Why? It is a hero stone. It was significant in Sangam period. Many hero stones were with the legends inscribed on them. They were found in different parts of Tamil Nadu, and they had the kind of stone worship in different temples and in different areas. After this Sangam period, you will see proper temple building will start, and they will keep hero stones in the temple premises also. So this religion thing was followed. Position of women was fine. Not very discriminatory society was there. So women poets like some poets like Avayar, then Nachelayar, Kakkai Padinayar, they were there. So women poets flourished in this period. They contributed to Tamil literature also. And Karpu is like the pure life, chaste life, in which purity needs to be maintained for a woman. So it was considered the highest virtue of a woman that she should remain very pure, and she should consider that her body, her language is always very, very pure, and it is always well managed and clearly covered, and the way it should be behaved and portrayed in the society, it was followed with a kind of a set of rule. But these rules were not like imposing very harsh conditions on women, but it was just to glorify the beauty of women. Okay, then love marriage was very common practice. Even today it is common and it is fine. In North India by this time, love marriage became a sin. Okay, because I told you, due to those matrimonial alliances and people following the customs like that, dowry culture and those things, in North India the things were not fine. But in South India, it was okay to have a love marriage. Women were allowed to choose their life partners. However, the life of widows were miserable everywhere. The practice of sati was also very prevalent in the higher strata of society. So this they can ask you in the exam, that was there sati pratha or sati practice prevalent in the Sangam age also? So the answer is yes. Okay, they'll not ask you direct questions. Indirectly, they'll make a statement like this and they will ask you true or false. So remember that Sangam age also had sati system. Okay, the class of dancers was also patronized by the kings and the nobles, and basically after this you will see the level of dancers will be more exaggerated, and the Devdasi system will evolve from this culture only. Later we will see the Devdasi system in the medieval India. When we talk about the fine arts of Sangam age, poetry, music, dancing, all the kinds of arts were there. It was very popular among the people of the Sangam age. The arts of the music and dancing were highly developed, and the royal courts were crowded with singing bards. And they had a different caste for these. They were known as Panars and Variliars. This is important for prelims. You can write it down, that singing bards were known as Panar or Varaliar. They were expert in folk songs and folk dance. And variety of yash and drums, dhol, table, beating, sounding instruments were there. So yes, they were referred in the Sangam literature. Dancing was performed by Kanigayar. Kanigayar is a name of a group of dancers. So dancers were known as Kanigayars. Kotho was also a very most important entertainment of these people, where a dance form was practiced. And if we talk about the economy, yes, it was doing very well. Agriculture was the chief occupation. As you know, that black soil is there, right? We know that black soil is also known as the self-ploughing soil. So yes, black soil was there. Agriculture was going very fine. Rice was the common crop. Other crops were ragi, sugarcane, cotton, pepper, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon. And if you know that pepper, especially the black pepper, was also known as black gold, right? Black gold. Okay. You asked about Nedals and Palai. Yes, these were the castes and the groups. Okay, names of the groups. Okay, jackfruit and pepper were the most famous in the Chera country. So Cheras used to have a lot of good economical gains by jackfruit and pepper. Paddy was the chief crop. Can you tell me what is the Hindi name of jackfruit? Hindi में jackfruit को क्या कहते हैं? Commonly it is also known as what? Have you ever had it? किसी ने खाया है jackfruit? Very, very famous. Then paddy was the chief crop of Cholas and Pandyas. So remember that Cholas and Pandyas had the paddy. The handicrafts was popular, which included weaving, metal works, carpentry, shipbuilding. Very important that they knew about shipbuilding, ornaments using beads, stones, ivory. So yes, they were good in making all these things. Good artists were there. Spinning and weaving of cotton and silk clothes was done. It was attained at a very high quality, and there was great demand in the western world for the cotton clothes woven at Orayur at that time. Both internal and foreign trade was there, and it was very well organized. So yes, I asked, okay, you are a Keralite, great Sri Lakshmi. So tell me the common word or the common name of jackfruit. कटहल कहते हैं क्या? कटहल. I don't know if I'm right. Yes, Arvind. Yes. Okay. Merchants. Merchants carried the goods on the carts and on animal back from place to place. So a lot of trade used to be there. Internal trade was mostly based on barter system. External trade carried between South India and Greek kingdom. So yes, Greek kingdom used to purchase item from us. After Greek kingdom declined, then Roman Empire came in Europe. So with Roman Empire also we had trade. So we had Greek coins also, we had Roman coins also in South India. The port city of Puhar became an emporium, like a mall of foreign trade. Other ports of commercial activity included Tondi, Musiri, Korakai, Arikamedu and Marakanam. These names are important for prelims. Remember the name of these ports: Tondi, Musiri, Korakai, Arakaimedu and Marakanam. The author of Periplus, Periplus is again a literary work. It provides the most valuable information on foreign trade. Plenty of goods were taken from India. And that's why gold and silver came to India. So European gold and silver from the Western world, all those coins came to India. And they were issued by Roman emperors like Augustus, Tiberius, Nero. So the coins issued by these great rulers are found in India very easily. Why? Because they used to buy things. Okay, that's why sometimes in the colonial historiography they justify that when Britishers came to India, they took away the wealth of India, but the wealth was not the Indian wealth. It was the European wealth which already went through the trade activities to India. So the answer, I told you that the answer to it is that the wealth was not snatched or it was not taken away in any bad way. It was not relatable with any of the bad or a criminal activity. It was taken by the Indians, yes, from the European traders, but it was taken in the exchange of the goods. You never returned our goods back to us. So how can we return the money? Clear? So yes, we earned it from many of the European countries. So these coins were found in all the parts of Tamil Nadu. The main export was cotton fabric, spices like pepper, ginger, cardamom, cinnamon, turmeric, ivory products, pearls and other precious stones. We used to import also. We used to import gold, sweet wine, horses. But you know that these items are only luxury goods. They are not something which will make our survival very hard. You know that it is very hard to survive without a cotton fabric. Can we survive without cotton? No. Europeans could not survive without cotton and silk. They could not survive without spices from India. They could not survive without these kind of ginger, cardamom, cinnamon and turmeric coming from India. They had to buy it. It was their necessity. But for us, the imported goods were luxury. And necessity is more important than luxury. So they were dependent on us. That's why they had to search for a new sea route to India. They had to come to India. It was their problem. So just because of their necessity, they discovered the new routes, they discovered the new things. New discoveries never happened in India. We were lacking in technical discoveries and developments because we never needed it. We had no need to do it. Why would you discover and search for something which is already there with you? If I'll give you everything, right? Let's say that you have food in front of you, you have everything, all your basic needs being completed and finished and done and taken care of in your own area, then why would you try to go and expand and go in other parts? Only in few of the ambitious conditions it may happen, like the imperial Cholas did. But otherwise, generally, we never needed to explore the world. World was exploring India. World was coming to India. So we used to taste everything in our own country. We had no need to go and do any kind of, war or things like that. So ultimately, Sangam age ended. Okay. So why it ended? Okay. Just understand. So towards the end of the 3rd century AD, Sangam age declined. It's declined very slowly. That's why there is no fixed date. Slowly it witnessed the decline. Why? I told you about a tribal group, Kalabras. Remember? So the Kalabras, they occupied the Tamil country for about 2.5 centuries. Okay? 250 saal. Kalabras ruled. So because of this, the decline came. Also, there is one reason that Jainism, Buddhism became very prominent during this period. So people became very peace loving. Okay, they became like, we should not expand the empire, no need to do this, no need to do that, no need to keep the army. So they became so non-violent that they took life in a very easy, breezy way. Pallavas then in North Tamil Nadu and the Pandyas in Southern Tamil Nadu, they ultimately came back after 250 years. Somehow they managed to, get the part of Southern Tamil Nadu again in their hand. They drove the Kalabras out. There was so many, battles and there were so many wars. And then Kalabras went out of the Tamil country, and ultimately Pallavas and Pandyas came back again and they established their rule again. Then you will see the new form of government and developments and things moving on, in the 6th and 7th century AD. But that will be covered in the next class. Okay, today we are just discussing the Sangam age. Fine. So in this way, the Sangam age ended, Sangam age declined, and now we will write something about the other expansions and invasions in North India. So Sangam age was happening in the South India. So what was happening in North India at that time? Okay, I explained you about some of the invasions and attacks. So just write few of the important points and the name of the rulers who were there in North India and some invaders who came to North India. Then I'll end the session. Let me know if you have any doubts, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much, Sri Lakshmi and Pradeep and other students for all your beautiful comments. Okay, so now let's come to the dictation. Are you guys ready for the dictation? Only a small part would be dictated today, not very long, because I know that you don't write a lot, you don't like to write, but I like to dictate because it gives me a kind of satisfaction that all the important points are covered, and there are few points which we have already completed and discussed in the class, and I have already explained it to you. That's why I just want to dictate few points, because I found it very interesting in the PYQs. So if you are ready, please let me know, everyone, so that I start the dictation. Write from a new page, put the subheading post-Mauryan period. Okay, post-Mauryan period. I hope you guys can take class tomorrow also, because for Diwali we will have the leave day after tomorrow. I thought to just take only a 1 day gap for the Diwali, but tomorrow I feel that we can have a class, right? Okay. So please write the period from 200 BC to 300 AD. The period from 200 BC to 300 AD did not witness a large empire like that of the Mauryas. But widespread contacts between Central Asia and India. Full stop. I'll repeat the point. The period from 200 BC to 300 AD did not witness a large empire like that of the Mauryas, but widespread contacts between Central Asia and India. It also witnessed, next point, it also witnessed political, cultural, and historical achievements, along with number of invasions and rise of regional kingdoms. It also witnessed political, cultural, historical achievements, along with number of invasions and rise of regional kingdoms. Next point, in Deccan, DECCAN, comma, Central India and Eastern India. In Deccan, Central India and Eastern India, the Mauryas were succeeded by a number of indigenous rulers such as the Shungas, the Kanvas, and Satvahans. I'll repeat the point. In Deccan, comma, Central India and Eastern India, comma, the Mauryas were succeeded by a number of indigenous rulers such as the Shungas, the Kanvas, and the Satvahans. So Shungas, you remember Pushyamitri Shunga, who started the Shunga rule, right? The Kanvas and Satvahans were also there. So I'll tell you about Shungas, Kanvas, Satvahans in detail. So please write Shungas, Shungas, the Kanvas, 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 Satvahans, Satavahans. Okay, next point. The period also witnessed number of foreign dynasties from Central Asia. The period also witnessed number of foreign dynasties from Central Asia like the Indo-Greeks, comma, the Shakas, comma, the Scytho-Parthians, Scytho, 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 Parthians, Parthians, Scytho-Parthians, and the Kushans, Kushans, Kushans. I'll repeat the point. The period also witnessed number of foreign dynasties from Central Asia, like the Indo-Greeks, the Shakas, the Scytho-Parthians, and the Kushans. So please remember these four important foreign dynasties, very important for exam. Indo-Greeks, Shakas, Scytho-Parthians, and Kushans. Okay, so one by one we will write one paragraph, small paragraphs for all these important foreign dynasties. Okay, just small paragraphs. Please write first about the Indo-Greeks or the Bactrian Greeks. You can put a subheading before writing the foreign ruling dynasties. The foreign ruling dynasties, under which the first one is number one, the Indo-Greeks. The Indo-Greeks, or they are also known as Bactrian Greeks. Bactrian Greeks. You can see the spelling here on the board if you don't know. Bactrian Greeks. Okay. So under it, please write the first point. A number of invasions began after the death of Alexander. A number of invasions began after the death of Alexander in 323 BC. In 323 BC, Greeks, comma, who ruled over Bactria, comma, were the first to cross the Hindu Kush mountains, but they failed to establish a united rule in India. Okay, they ruled in India between 2nd century BC to 1st century BC. 2nd century BC to 1st century BC, and are known as the Indo-Greeks. Okay. Now, next point, please write under the same subheading. Demetrius, 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 the king of Bactria, Demetrius, the king of Bactria, invaded India probably in 190 BC, 190 BC, and came into conflict with Pushyamitra Shunga. Full stop. He made Sakal as his capital. Sakal, S-A-K-A-L-A. This is the spelling. Sakal as his capital. Full stop. He soon took control of Takshila and Gandhar. This is a very important point. Okay. I told you about Pushyamitra Shunga, right? So Pushyamitra Shunga, he was the commander in chief of the army. He revolted and he made his empire. So Shunga dynasty got started. Ultimately, Shunga dynasty had conflict with Demetrius, the king of Bactria. Okay. So I'll repeat the point again. Listen. Demetrius, the king of Bactria, invaded India probably in 190 BC, 190 BC, and he came into the conflict with Pushyamitra Shunga. Okay, full stop. He made Sakal his capital and he soon took over control of Takshila and Gandhar also. Then next point is Milinda. Milinda or Menander. Okay, you remember Milinda Panno? Do you remember Milinda Panno? Which is a conversation between Milinda and a monk. What is the name of that monk? Tell me in the comment box if you remember. Yes. Nagasena. Okay, Nagasena is the name. Nagasena and Milind, they had some dialogues. So just right now, please write the time period of Menander or Milind. It is from 165 to 145 BC. 165 to 145 BC. Very nice, Shri Lakshmi. That's great that you are revising it so nicely. So Menander or Milind from 165 to 145 BC had his capital at Sakal. This is Sakal written here. Sakal is the modern Sialkot of Punjab, if you don't remember. Sakal is the modern Sialkot of Punjab. Full stop. He invaded the Ganga Yamuna Doab. Doab is the land between two rivers. I told you that it is a very fertile area always. So he invaded the Ganga Yamuna Doab and he was converted to Buddhism by Nagasena. Nagasena slash Nagarjun, because sometimes Nagasena is also known as Nagarjun. So in some of the books they write Nagarjun. Full stop. Okay. Hermes was a ruler basically. So Hermes, I don't know how to pronounce, but I'll just tell you the spelling. Hermaius. Okay. Hermaus was a ruler who was defeated by the Parthians. Hermaus, Hermaius. Hermaus was defeated by the Parthians. Parthians, Parthians, and their This ended the rule of the Indo-Greeks in India. Okay, so Hermos was the last ruler. He was defeated by Parthians and the Indo-Greek rule ended. After which Parthians will rule India. Okay. Next point. Large number of coins were issued by Greeks and they were the first to issue gold coins in India. So just remember a point here that when it comes to the gold coins, Greeks were the first to introduce the gold coins in India. But Kushans, they made the most pure quality of gold coin. So purity was the highest during the Kushan rule. But the variety and the, production, large scale production of gold coin was achieved in the Gupta age. Okay. So सबसे ज़्यादा सोने के जो सिक्के हैं, सबसे ज़्यादा, most of the सिक्के, it came by Guptas. Best quality came by Kushans. Okay. First time it was introduced by Greeks. Okay. So Indo-Greeks were the first to issue gold coins in India. And Greeks also introduced the Hellenistic art, which is the Greek style of art in the northwestern frontier of India. Hellenistic, this is the spelling. Hellenistic art, Hellenistic, Hellenistic art. In bracket you can write the Greek and Roman art. जो यूरोप का आर्ट था, यूरोपियन आर्ट, Hellenistic art. So they introduced it in northwest frontier of India, but this art was not purely Greek. It mixed with India, due to which the Gandhar art emerged in India. Gandhar school of art emerged in India. Okay, so we have written everything about the Greeks, Indo-Greek rulers. Fine. So in postmodern India, we saw Indo-Greeks. Now please write the number 2. Second, the Shakas. Shakas were, they ruled for a very long time. Ultimately, they were defeated by Guptas. We will, learn about the Chandragupta, Vikramaditya defeating the Shakas and taking the title Sakari. That will be coming in the next class. But now just for today, write a small paragraph of Shakas. The Shakas / Scythians, they were also known as Scythians. This is the spelling, SCY THIANS. Okay, the Shakas, Scythians. Under it, please write 5 branches of the Shakas. 5 branches of the Shakas with their seats of power, in different parts of India and Afghanistan. Got settled. So they had different branches. One was in Afghanistan, one in Punjab, Takshila, one was in Mathura, one was in Western India. Okay, so they continued in different branches, and their 5th branch was in the Upper Deccan region. So they continued the rule till the 4th century AD for a very long time. Okay, so please write Rudra Daman 1. Rudra Daman 1. Rudra Daman is the name of a ruler. Rudra Daman 1 was the first famous ruler who belonged to the Shaka Kshatraps. Shaka Kshatraps. Shaka Kshatrap means Shaka province of Western India. Shaka province of Western India. Okay. Next point. Maus was the first Shaka king in India. Maus, M-A-U-E-S. M-A-U-E-S. Maus. He is also known as Maus Moga. Okay, sometimes he is known as Moga or Moa. So Maus / Moga, you can write. Was the first Shaka king in India, and he established his power in Gandhar. And figure of Abhishek Lakshmi was inscribed on his coins. In the Maus coins, figure of Abhishek Lakshmi. You must have seen the Lakshmi goddess photo. Okay, Abhishek Lakshmi. So Abhishek Lakshmi was inscribed on his coins. Abhishek, A-B-H-I-S-H-E-K-A, Lakshmi, L-A-X-M-I. Next point. Azes conquered the northern India. Azes is the name of ruler. So A-Z-E-S is the spelling, Azes. A-Z-E-S. Azes conquered the northern India, full stop. He was probably associated with the Vikram Samvat era. So those of you who don't know the Vikram Samvat era, just understand that in 57 to 58 BC, there was the king of Ujjain who defeated the Shakas. So he called himself Vikramaditya. It is also considered that he was the Gupta ruler. Okay, so his era was known as the Vikram Samvat. So this era is a very important time because it was to recognize the event of the victory over the Shakas by Vikramaditya in 57 BC. So from this time Vikramaditya became a converted title. All the important rulers after winning a battle, they took the title of Vikramaditya. So in India, many rulers adopted this title. Like there were 14 Vikramaदिtyas recorded in Indian history. Like Chandragupta II was the most famous Vikramaditya. So Vikram Samvat era is, this kind of era which got started. So Shakas, they are why they are famous. Shakas issued large number of silver coins. Okay, and they, they used to get it because they had a lot of benefit from the sea trade in Gujarat. That's why they are important. Clear? So this was all about Shakas. Now third are the Scythoparthians. Scythoparthians. S-C-I-O. Sorry, S-C-Y-T-H-O. S-C-Y-T-H-O. Scythoparthians. Write like this. I have written it on the board for you. They are the third important invaders of India. Originally, they lived in Iran, from where they moved to India. So, in the 1st century AD, they occupied a very small portion in northwestern India. And the first member of this line was Venonus. I will write the name here, Venonus. I'll repeat the point. If you are writing, please write. The Scythoparthians, originally they lived in Iran, from where they came to India, and in 1st century AD they occupied a small portion in northwestern India. The first member of this line was Venonus. Okay, Venonus. Okay, now just understand a point here, don't need to write. Basically, the rule of Parthians and Shakas, it was simultaneous in different pockets of the northwestern and north India. And do you know that in India, those who are South Indians, they must be knowing it, that in South India, especially in Kerala, we have the most ancient Christians. Okay, Christianity, when it began, the way it was expanded, it was spreaded in India also. Why? Because Saint Thomas, there was a saint, Saint Thomas, he arrived in India at this point only for the propagation of Christianity. And it was during the reign of a very famous Parthian ruler named as Gondopharnes. This is the name. If you don't know the spelling, this is the spelling, GondophoRnes. So Gondopharnes was ruling in India. He was a Parthian ruler, and in this time only Saint Thomas arrived in India for the propagation of Christianity. Okay. Clear? I hope you have no doubts. Now, you may get some confusion here because there is a term known as Shaka era. सुना है आपने Shaka era? So Shaka era is very different. Don't mix it in your mind with Shakas, जो rulers हैं. No. Shaka era was the era which is also adopted by Government of India as the national calendar. So it's the 0 year which begins near the equinox of the year of 78 AD. And why this is very important, because this year is also described as the Shaka Kal or Shaka Nirpa Kal. So Shaka calendar begins on 22nd March every year except in the leap year when it starts on 23rd March. Okay, so that is a different thing. Fine. So in this way, you know, these invaders were ruling, and we had many big rulers, but the you know the finally, you know, these rulers, Shakas and all, they ruled for a very long time, and from there all rulers, Bhumak, Nehpal, Rudradaman were the important one. And then they were replaced by Kushans. Kushans are very important. So write the third, number 3, Kushans. I hope you guys are not tired. Okay, so just 2 more are remaining. Kushans are remaining, so just write about them. Kushans are known as Yuchis or Tocharians. This is the spelling, Tocharians or Tocharians. So Kushans are also known as Tocharians, and they are also known as Yuchis. This is the spelling of Yuchis. Y-E-U Y-U-E-C-H-I-S. So Kushans or Yuchis or Tocharians, they are all same. Okay, they all are same. So the Kushans were one of the 5 clans into which the Yuchi tribe was divided. Please write the first point. The Kushans were one of the 5 clans into which the Yuchi tribe was divided. This group of nomadic people came from the Central Asia. They first settled in Bactria. Where they replaced the Shakas. And then they moved to the Kabul Valley and seized Gandhar by crossing the Hindu Kush, where they replaced Greeks and Parthians also. So ultimately Shakas, Greeks, Parthians, all of them, they all were removed by Kushans. Clear? I'll repeat the point. So about Kushans you were writing, the point is that they first settled in Bactria, where they replaced the Shakas. And then they moved to the Kabul Valley and seized Gandhar area by crossing the Hindu Kush, where they replaced Greeks and Parthians also. Clear? Next point. Finally, they settled in the lower Indus basin. And the parts of Gangetic basin. Full stop. Now write about an important ruler known as Cadphises. KADPHISES, Cadphises or catfishes 1, catfishes 1, who is also known as Kujal catfishes, KUJULA, Kujul catfishes. So catfishes 1 or Kujul catfishes from 15 AD to 64 AD laid the foundation of Kushan Empire. He was the follower of Buddhism and he adopted a title like Dharmathida. Okay, and he issued coins south of the Hindu Kush river. He minted coins in copper. So he was a very famous important ruler. Okay. Then one more successor came after Cadphises, who was known as Vema Cadphises. Just try to listen, you don't need to write it. So Vema Cadphises was the successor who was a devotee of Lord Shiva, and he proclaimed himself as Mahashivara, okay, or Mahashiva. So he has his coins in which the images of Lord Shiva is there with his trident and bull, and he issued very large number of gold coins, and it was spread in his entire kingdom. But the best known Kushan king about which you need to write is Kanishk. So please write Kanishka ruled from 78 AD to 101 AD. Last paragraph of today's class, after which I will end the lecture. Just 2 more minutes, guys. Okay, please write the best known Kushan king Kanishka 78 AD to 101 AD, who ruled over Upper India and Lower Indus Basin. Underline Upper India and Lower Indus Basin. He was the son of Cadphises II, KADPHISES, Cadphises II. Full stop. He issued a number of gold coins with high metallic purity. He issued a number of gold coins with high metallic purity, which are found in west of the Indus River, Mathura, Shravasti, Kaushambi and Varanasi. Purushpura or Peshawar. Peshawar was also known as Purushpura at that time. So Purushpura or Peshawar was his first capital, where he erected a monastery and a stupa. And then Mathura was considered his second capital. Okay. So why we remember Kanishka? Kanishka is so important for us because his era was started in 78 AD, which is known as Shaka era, about which I was telling you. So you can write it. Kanishka is known in history because he started his era, which starts from 78 AD, known as Shaka era, which is also adopted by Government of India today as the national calendar. Okay, full stop. Second point is that he used the Bactrian language in his coins and inscriptions. He assumed the titles like Devaputra and Kanishka, shown wearing a peaked helmet, on some coins. So he had some peaked helmets on him, he used to wear like mukut, you can say. Mukut, peaked helmet means mukut. On some coins. He assumed the title Devaputra, full stop. Kanishka was shown wearing a peaked helmet on some coins. Okay, next point. He held a fourth Buddhist council in Kashmir. He held a fourth Chauthi Buddhist council at Kashmir, where the doctrine of Mahayana Buddhism was finalized. See guys, whatever I'm dictating you is already discussed in the class. Okay, I have explained it to you, but just for revision purpose and writing it in a chronological detail, I'm dictating it to you. I have discussed this, but just to ensure that you don't miss any point for exam, we are having this thing written in your notes. Clear? So the last point about Kanishk you need to write now. Kanishk controlled the popular Silk Route in Central Asia. Full stop. The successors of Kanishka continued to rule in northwestern India till about 230 AD, 230 AD, full stop. His first successor was Vashishika. His first successor was Vasishika, Vasishka, who ruled from 101 to 105 AD, and he was later succeeded by Huvishka, Huvishka, Huvishka. He transferred his capital from Purushpura to Mathura. Huvishka transferred his capital from Purushpura to Mathura. Okay, just to remember, it's just a fact. You don't need to write it. Basically, Huvishka founded the town of Huvishkapura also, which is in Kashmir. And we have the reference of this town in Raj Tarangini, which is written by Kalhana. Okay. So, all these things happened in in the India. So, just wanted to tell you that when we had Sangam age in South India, we had these kind of developments in North India, where in the post-modern era, these kind of invasions and attacks were happening, and these, all rulers were there. So, we have now completely covered the 70% part of your ancient history. Now the next part which we need to discuss is the Gupta rule. Okay, so Mauryas and post Mauryas done, Sangam is done. Now Gupta rule will be started in the next class. Some other important small kingdoms are also there. I'll see, like Satvahans and all. So I'll just try to discuss that also in next class. Okay. So I hope there are no doubts. If nothing is there, then I'll end the session. I have not checked the answer. I'm really sorry, because of this festivals and all. I'm very very busy in all these activities nowadays. I'm really sorry for that, but I'll be checking it very soon. This is my promise that I just need some time and a fresh mind to check your answers. I don't want to do things in a very hurry, but no worries, I will be doing it. Mic is actually, you're saying that the mic is probably not fine with you, but I feel that the mic is very fine, and I asked other students also. Please let me know who all are watching live. Do you feel that there is any problem in the mic? Because I rechecked it today again, that it is working great. But in case you feel any issue, maybe you can adjust the speaker or the volume of the device which you are using, maybe your phone or laptop. And other students, please let me know if you also feel the same, that is there any issue? Do you see that there is any need of changing it? Let me know if you want me to increase the volume or anything else. No, no issue is there na? Okay, तो कोई issue नहीं है. I think in case any of you feel like that, kindly adjust the sound box or the speaker, whatever you are using. Fine. So I'll end the session here, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you guys again in the next class.